Welcome aboard the Seatbelt Sign podcast. We've been cleared for takeoff.
1, 2, 3, hit record at the same time.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Hey, back for another episode. Today I have Holly.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Take
second.
2. Holly, so we're both two podcasters in the aviation world. So let's just jump right into it. Why airplanes? How'd you get into it? How old were you? What was that wild desire? How did it start?
Well, it's actually not as common as other people's stories. Usually they say when they're 4 or 5, they got the bug to start being a pilot. But I honestly didn't think about it until COVID, when I was a flight attendant for American Airlines. So I was with them. I got started with them in 2016, and then COVID happened. And I originally never even thought about being in the cockpit. Never crossed my mind. And then we got furloughed during COVID. So I was rethinking my life. I had got my real estate license earlier that year. And
Congrats.
Thank you. I like real estate, but it's not really for me for a full-time thing. So I just kept it. I keep it active for on the side. But so then my friend, who was also a flight attendant, I'd known her for a few years. She said that she went to flight school, and she was like, "Hey, you should come with me. You should come here. It'll be fun." Then I said, "Okay." So I went, and that was how I got into flying.
Dude, I love that story because I had a CFI very early on who was just like you. She was a flight attendant, and same thing. She was like, "Hell no, I'm not coming back unless I'm in the flight deck." And she went to ATP, and she was determined. She was like, "I'm doing this in 9 months. I'm going to go start teaching. I'm going to go rack up my hours." And boom, she got on the wave, and she got at Republic. And,
nice.
And along the way in flight training, she met her now husband, father of her child. So
that's so funny. It's where I met my husband.
Nice. Yeah, dude,
that's
awesome. That's such a cool life story, for everybody like yourself, flight attendant to pilot. Like, that's just so crazy.
It is. It's kind of makes sense too.
100%.
It really does. But how about you? How'd you get into flying?
So, like a lot of people, like you had mentioned, I was privileged to aviation very, very early on. My grandfather's a fighter pilot. My biological father just so happened to work at Miami Center as an electrical engineer, which led to my older half brother eventually becoming an air traffic controller. But he passed away when I was young, and so my mom was like, "You know what? I need something to occupy my mind." Right? She was going through a lot, so she was like, "I want to go be like my father, who was a fighter pilot. I want to get my private pilot license." So I was like 9 years old and riding around in the back of a 172, and like a lot of people, her flight instructor eventually became her boyfriend, which then became her husband, which became my dad, which about 30 years later, he was my in-flight instructor. And it was kind of weird because at an early age, kids don't know that their reality is different than anybody else's. So it felt like, oh, everybody rides in the back of a 172 while their mom gets flight instruction. Like, this is normal. So to me, aviation was always in the blood, but I had zero interest because it just felt so normal, like it was nothing. And then one day, I got a business degree, and one day after working in accounting for 6 years, I was like, screw the cubicle life, dude, I'm out. And I called up my dad. I was living out west at the time, and I said, "I think I want to learn to fly airplanes." And I moved home, and that was 7 years ago.
Wow. Okay. I feel you on that, because I went to business school too. So I wasn't in the industry that long, in the business industry that long, before I realized I did not like it. But I was working also in a cubicle, but it was a nice one. It was a corner cubicle. Everyone wanted it. I had a great boss. I had great coworkers, and I just hated the work. I hated it. That's why I went to flight attendant.
That's awesome. And then now you're a pilot, that's so cool. I feel like a lot of people in aviation, it's kind of split down the middle. There's either people that from the jump, they were like, "I want to be the captain with the hat on." Or then there's other people that they came from the craziest diverse backgrounds and then stumbled into aviation. And in my opinion, those are the fun pilots to hang out with. You know what I'm saying? Because they're like,
oh, yeah.
Just wild stuff. That's awesome. So knocked out all your flight training. I did notice that you're a flight instructor. I want to highlight me too. And I had 2 students take their check rides today. They both passed. I'm so excited.
That's awesome.
Through the roof.
So good.
It does. And this has been such a roller coaster. These poor guys have been waiting almost 3 months. We've rescheduled 4 times due to weather.
Gosh.
And I was like, what's wrong with these two guys? What does the universe not want them to take their check ride for? Like, are they bad guys? Like, what is going on?
Maybe they weren't just ready. They needed a little more time.
I think probably one of them was definitely a little less prepared. And I think because of the strong winds today, it was 10 gusting 18. And the examiner was like, are you sure you want to send them out? I was like, we're either shooting our shot or we're shooting ourselves in the foot at this point. Like, we're doing it. And the examiner was like, okay, you know, that power off 180, I'm going to give you a little more grace today. Right? He was like, don't smack it on the runway just to hit your spot. Okay. It's windy. He was like, have a nice soft landing. Okay. And hey, he passed. So I was like, yeah, we finally got this done.
Exciting. Yes. Being a CFI is so rewarding. That's one reason I really enjoyed it, but it will burn you out quickly.
Yeah. I have one more to go. She's taking her check ride next week. And my big goal recently has been I want to get my CFI Gold Seal, which isn't much, but for me, it's going to feel like a big accomplishment because it's been such a struggle to get the students and get them ready and get through all these hurdles. So right after I get that Gold Seal, I want to take a step back and really just focus on corporate flying, turbine stuff, which I'd love to chat with you about. Like, it is so hard for me to balance being a CFI and then also picking up turbine flights or flying clients and stuff, because I can either go and make almost $1,000, or, you know, you keep that flight that you scheduled with your student and you're going to make maybe $60, you know, and I have to drive an hour each way. So, you know, I know. So like, and I have prioritized the students as very best I can, because I remember when I was coming up, you know, if your flight instructor cancels on you, sometimes it's 10 days before you get to fly again. I remember how much that sucked as a student. So I really, really, really try never to cancel on my students, but man, it is a struggle.
It really is. The payout is just not, it's still rewarding in its own way, of course. And I love that you're not going to do that to them and make them have to have a canceled lesson. So that's awesome. It's kind of the same for me, because I used to do more multi-engine citation SIC stuff on the side than I do single engine turboprop stuff on the side.
Ooh.
But the single engine turboprop stuff pays more than the SIC citation. So SIC citation, I'd make, I started out at 600 or 500 when I first started doing it. And then I went up to 6 and now 7 is about the max.
Yeah.
But I make, depending on what I'm doing, I make 850 to 1500 on the single engine turboprop side. So it's just, and I like it more too, because I get to be PIC, and it's just, I love my turboprops. I really do. I never thought I'd be so ingrained in that world than I am now, but I'm glad I fell into it.
It is so fun, isn't it? Oh my goodness. I'm flying a little King Air right now.
A little King Air.
Well, it's the 90. It's the 90. So it's the smallest, but it is the biggest thing that I've flown by myself. It's the first turbine I've flown by myself. There is nothing more fun than putting that thing into reverse. Am I right? When you just hear that.
I love Beta so much.
It's really so sick. It's so sick. You know, I've had the opportunity to fly a CJ3 for a very short time. You know, the highs and the lows of aviation are, you know, like Everest peaks and then the lowest valleys of the ocean. We were so ecstatic. We had just gotten this client, and he had a King Air 260 that we flew for him for like a year and a half, 2 years, because he bought that at the same time that he bought this Citation jet, because the factory was like, okay, it's a 2-year period. And he was like, I need a plane now. So he bought this King Air, boom, made about $500,000 on, or sorry, $1.5 million on it when he sold it like 2 years later, because we got the delivery of the jet. And my captain and I, we were like, ooh, it had 5 hours on the hobs when we jumped in it. You know, it was brand new. It had G3000 avionics. We were like, ooh, this is so, and for my first ever jet, I was like, oh, I'm spoiled rotten. This is incredible. So we flew it for about 5 months, and we were just getting into our groove, and we had just had our best flight, like picked up the clients, took this family down to Orlando for Disney. They were there for 3 days. So we had a 3-day vacation, and we fly the jet back, just like high-fiving. We land, we get a call from our manager, and he was like, financial trouble at the business. They're selling the jet.
Oh, ouch.
Dude, I know. And I was like, I'm finally getting some SIC time and a, you know, and a jet. Maybe eventually I can get that job I've been wanting. And man, it just all crumbles. And then you drive home and like for a second I was feeling sorry for myself, but then at the same time I'm like, dude, very few people get to do what I'm doing. And 1,000 other pilots are wishing that they had that shot. So I was like, no time to even feel bad for myself. Like, quit your crime. Let's go.
Exactly. Every day that I'm able to go up and fly, I feel incredibly grateful. And it's just, I always think back to when my very first ground lessons with my ground instructor, JJ, for listening, this is you.
Shout out.
And he told us that every single one of us in that ground class that we should all be thankful because we are a minority of the population. Just being able to be there, being able to get a medical, being able to pay for it, being able to make time out of our schedules for it. We are a minority and we should feel blessed for it.
Hercules.
Yes, really though. And so I've always been so thankful of it. And I love going into work. Like, even if I have a 14-hour day coming up, I'm just like, let's do it. I'm so excited about it because I just love flying my planes. I was very, very lucky when I was a flight instructor. I was at Addison for a while, then I went to the Meacham location and was a chief pilot over there. And I ran into a guy in the FBO as I was debriefing a student after an instrument flight, and he overheard me debriefing and he was impressed. So he had the FBO give me his number so to be not creepy about it.
Mm-hmm.
And he manages aircraft in the area. And he was like, hey, I have a client's daughter who might be interested and I'd like to discuss that with you. And then when I went to talk to him about it, he was like, I have a citation flight coming up. Do you want to come? I mean, it's no pay. You can't log the time, but you want to come? I was like, yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. I was like, what, in a jet? Yeah, at that point it was brand new to me. I'd been flying, small little puddle jumpers from there. So I was very excited. And then that was like in 2023. So yeah, it's been fun doing that on the side.
That's awesome. So you've been doing it for a while, but I just want to say kudos to that guy who, got you his number that way. I had to correct one of our local CFIs here. He's an older guy, and of course he's the main CFI here at our uncontrolled airport, and he's just looking out in everybody's best interest. But we have a bunch of high schoolers actually that I've been able to teach. I have one student, she's almost going to be CFI. She got her private pilot before she graduated high school, and she just turned 20 and she's about to be a CFI. This is like her sole focus in life, right? Very pretty young girl. And so of course all the other boys her age, they're kind of like, hey, can I fly with her? So one of the CFIs was like, this older gentleman, he was like, yeah, y'all two out of, blah, blah. So he gave the boy her number, and I was like, yo, you can't do that. Don't. He was like, oh, and I was like, you're old. You don't really get it. Just look, you can't give out girls' numbers to boys. And he was like, okay, Roger,
Let's use this as a learning experience.
Yeah. No, it's hilarious. And, but luckily everybody, they're all pals. I got 3 CFI candidates. They all kind of like bouncing around together, flying airplanes and studying and stuff. So we got a super fun community. And it was like you were saying, like, it's so rewarding, that side of it. No monetary value, but definitely I feel like karma and just, for your spirit. I really tripped out the other day. I was sitting in the classroom at our little FBO, and I had these 3 students all kind of asking me questions about becoming a CFI. And I'm like, this is the same room that I did my private pilot check ride in. Like, this is where I've been from day one. And now people are asking me questions about to be a flight instructor. And I was just like, out of body experience. It was the
Full
trippiest.
circle, right?
I know, it's so crazy.
I know. Yeah, that feeling is definitely weird. I'm so used to being I try and put myself in a room where I'm the least educated person there. I feel like whenever you're around people who are smarter than you, you'll learn something. And it was really weird for me. The other day I went to a 99s meeting and I want to start getting involved more in aviation. So I'm going to do that more. And at the meeting, I was the most experienced person in the room. And I thought, I was excited. I was like, who am I going to meet? Like, who are some of these girls that are in here? And everyone was like, private pilot, oh, I just get my private pilot and all I do is fly around, or I'm a career pilot, but I'm just starting out. It was really weird for me because I've hadn't experienced that. And I've been flying for 5 years now, and that was my first time experiencing that. So it was kind of cool.
Dude, that's awesome. Congratulations. That's huge. That's huge. Shows that you're on the right track, doing big things. So I want to highlight, let's give a shout out to all your socials. Where can everybody find you?
Oh, yes. So I'm called the Aviator's Guide on everything. So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Well, so I guess not everything. I don't do Twitter or whatever else there is out there.
Yeah, I don't do Twitter either, and it's trying to be in the social media space. It's like I almost want to just hire a manager to do it for me because
It's exhausting.
it is. And I have on my browser, I have all the social medias like tabbed on your browser, and you click through 17 things on 25 different accounts, and then 4 hours go by, and you're like, what have I done? This is what am I doing with my life? I need to go walk my dog and just clear my mind. So, but I love all your stuff, and I kind of want to get
Thank
into some of
you.
that. Like, you're teaching stuff, you're also doing like current event stuff. How do you do it all? Like, do you sit down every day and you're like, I'm going to schedule working on my socials, working on my accounts, working on broadcasting all this great content? Like, tell me all about it.
Well, I'd love to say that I'm that organized and have that much time on my hands, but usually it's me at midnight trying to get the post out for that day and or the next day. So if I'm really on top of it, then I'm posting at midnight for the next day and scheduling it. But if I'm really behind, then I'm posting at midnight for that day. So I really want to set aside time to be able to, hey, let's do it on every like Sunday or Monday and just schedule everything out for that week. But it's just it's so time consuming, and I'm so incredibly busy. I know everybody says that they're busy, but I'm trying not to just be like, oh yeah, I'm just so busy, but I don't have a lot of time. I don't even know how my friends are always just like, have you seen this TV show? And I'm like, no, I haven't. And I'm probably not going to, because I literally do not have time. If I'm watching TV, it's probably like for 15 minutes while I have dinner, and then I turn it off and do stuff. Like,
I know the feeling, and it's a feeling of dread sometimes. Like, I drive in my car on my way to go give flight instruction, and then I'm like, I didn't post my podcast today. And I feel like I gave myself homework, and then I didn't study for the test, and I'm going to the teacher
yes,
like, I didn't do my assignment.
exactly.
And you're like, why did I do this? So, but
Exactly.
it's been fun. It's been fun. And I don't know if you have any favorites, but I wanted to ask you, what are some of your favorite episodes or favorite content that you've put out? Either it could be with a guest or it could be solo one. So let's rattle off like top 3 of your favorites.
Okay, let's see. I really enjoyed my most recent episode, which was a few months ago, sadly, with Rear Admiral Jib Godwin. He is a phenomenal man. He taught me a lot. He was one of the first instructors, and he helped design the Super Hornet, or I guess the Hornet back then before it was Super.
Super cool is what it is.
Yes, it was a very enlightening episode. He's also the CEO of Medical Mercy Angels.
Okay.
So we talked about that aspect of it, because it's something I'd really love to get into one day when I do have my own aircraft. The plane I fly now is just too busy. We are out of hours almost for our 200-hour that's coming up. So, but it was a really interesting episode with him. He's a really cool guy. Knows how to crack a joke, so that's nice. I also really enjoyed when I had Adam Levine, the DPE. Almost everybody knows him in the DFW area. I'm sure everybody's almost heard of him or done a check ride with him. He was also in the military as well. So he was Air Force. No. Adam, if you're listening, I'm sorry if I got this wrong. You were in the military.
It's okay, Adam. We love you.
I can't remember which branch. Yes, we love you. He's a great guy too, incredibly knowledgeable. I've done a couple of, I think 2 of my students' check rides with him. He just makes you feel very at ease, but he's also, by the book, but he's just a great guy. And I've also messaged him a few times just for other questions to ask him. He always responds. Like he's just very on it, and I appreciate that all the time. And I guess thirdly, I would say I really enjoyed making my first ground lesson, and that was over night flying. I love night flying, and I know that it can be scary and enigmatic for some students, so I liked covering that. It's just enjoyable. I want to do more ground lessons too. Just that is very time consuming. I'm very research oriented. I don't like to put out false information, whether it's accidental or not. I want to know what I'm talking about and say the right thing because of the law of privacy. I don't want to mess anything up for anybody who's learning from me. So I try and be very careful about that.
Dude, that is so huge. I love that you said that about the law of privacy. Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more. See, I'm the exact opposite. I ramble a lot, and sometimes I don't exactly know what I'm talking about, and I'm just like trying to help the student figure it out. So therefore, I have always told my students, I will not charge you for ground school, because Sometimes I'll just go off on a random tangent and tell them like a story. You know, when I'm teaching instrument, I tell them about the craziest event that happened to me while I was flying a Cherokee 6 out of Texas into New Mexico. You know, and there's definitely some cool life lessons there about how to take all of your instrument knowledge and apply it into the real world. But like, I'm not going to charge you an hourly rate to tell you this story, you know?
Because
So
you're just jabbering sometimes.
exactly. But I feel like they're walking away with something. And so that's awesome that you are very detail oriented and that you are also planning your lesson and walking in like already with a prepared presentation, which I will admit I'm not doing. So again, the reason that I don't want to charge people, but we always, you know, like just make it a powwow. You know, I mentioned my CFIs. I was working with my commercial who just passed today and my private pilot. We just met at the local library and I was like, hey, let's just do this together. Cause you know, they call it the commercial private pilot 2.0 for a reason. So I was like, a lot of it is overlap. Well, I love your top 3. That's so cool. You had mentioned DPEs, so I want to give you a shout out. One of my episodes, I had what I'm calling is the youngest DPE I've ever met. He's 27 years old in the Phoenix, Arizona area.
Oh, wow.
I know,
Good
right?
For him.
I was out at King Air training, and I usually never drink coffee, but that day I was a little sluggish. So I was like, let me go in the break room, grab a coffee. And I hear this guy talking to another guy, and he's saying like, yeah, I have some check rides, you know, I'm an examiner, blah, blah, blah. And I looked at him, I was like, you're only like 60 years too young to have that title, bro. How old are you? And he's like, I'm 27. And I was like, dang, I'm almost a decade older than you. Like, we got to do my podcast, dude. And super nice guy, just crazy, you know. He basically told me that the FAA kind of has a bottleneck of DPEs right now because in your area, you can only have a maximum of, let's say, 10. And out of that 10, 2 are really pulling the weight and really doing most of the exams. And then the other 8 are doing like 2, maybe 3 check rides a month, right? But like your accountant, your DPE is basically the DPE until he's dead. And then they go find another one. So the FAA is actually trying to like kind of weed out these guys that are underperforming, I should say. And he was telling me that there's a big push to have younger DPEs. Now he is
Really?
he is super qualified because he had like all this jet time, and he had like 50 people that he took to check rides, and he was a gold seal and all these things. And somebody just like tapped him, and they're like, "You should do this," and he was like, "What?" And then he just got in touch with his FSDO, and they're like, "Yes, you're the perfect candidate." And then they sent him to Oklahoma. So yeah, DPEs. That would be
Wow.
something cool, you know. I would love for us to go to Oklahoma and just sit in the room while they're like grilling potential DPEs.
All right, can we like audit this class, please?
I know. I feel like you would learn so much to be a fly on that wall.
Really though.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. I've always thought about being a DP maybe one day, but I just heard how difficult it is to get into that kind of role. And even though I know a lot of really great instructors where I went to school who were fantastic but could not get through. They've applied multiple times and they were older too, like 50s range, and they couldn't get in. It's crazy.
Yeah, in our local area, that we have a very older gentleman at our local field, and he taught me some multi-engine training. And he, you know, after hanging out with him, I learned that he was a fighter pilot in Vietnam, and he's been a school teacher for like 32 years in the public school system, teaching science. So he's like a sweetheart, old guy, great instructor. And he threw his hat into the ring, and he doesn't like the examiner that we use today because he's like, he stole the rug out from under me. There's politics involved, all this stuff. So there might be a little politicking in the DPE world too. You never know.
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't, politics are all everywhere. It's crazy. But I think that'd be fun. So you'd like to be a DPE too one day?
Oh man, if I become a DPE, they need to throw me in the insane asylum. Nobody should give me that responsibility. No way, dude. I'd be passing everybody. I'd be like, if you can do a barrel roll, you know, in the 152, you're golden. You're
As
golden.
long as you know what up is up and down is down, I'll be happy.
Yeah, exactly right. No, I don't know. I would just have the hardest time. You know, I asked him, I was like, what happens when people cry when they fail? Because my poor girl, Caitlin, it's just one little brain fart. And then he was like, all right, well, you don't know the answer. So they were like, come on in, let's do the debrief. And she's already crying. And then as I walk in the room, she was like, oh, this is where you find that instrument approach plate on ForeFlight. And she pulls it up. And I'm like looking at the examiner like, come on, man. She obviously knows where it is. She just needed a second. And he was like, I already said she failed.
Oh man, that's
right? And
awful.
I'm like, I could not go home. I couldn't drive home. I'd be thinking about whoever I made cry, and I'd be like, I'm the worst person. So no, I'm not gonna be
And
a DP.
and not only just making them feel awful about themselves for a small mistake, but also making them pay an extra $1,000 for another check ride.
Well,
Oh my
that's
goodness.
why I love my guy, because he says the first retest, I'm not going to charge you, so that ethically you know that I'm not trying to extract more money from you, that you
Oh,
failed
I
because you
love that.
right.
Good
So
for him.
yeah, it's fantastic. So that's like why I love this guy, and maybe you might even say that's kind of where I got the influence of like I don't want to charge for ground school, but
Absolutely. Just giving a little bit back. That's what I like to. I like to just give back to the future pilots that are coming our way.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like my young student, I keep telling her, she, great pilot. You ever just fly with those people who they can just feel the plane? You can cover up all the
Yeah.
instruments, you can blindfold them, they can still fly the hell out of the plane. She
Mm-hmm.
was 17 years old, first time we ever had a decent crosswind component to actually try to fly that when she was a student pilot. I gave her one example. And the next three, she just had like touched it down perfect, just held that bank just like she needed to using rudder. And I'm just sitting like this, and I was like, oh, I never have to worry about you going on your solo
It's
or
a nice feeling.
yeah. And so she's just this gifted pilot, right? And I talk about her all the time because some people are very mechanical and others they can just feel it. Well, this kid already has more King Air time than me, and I actually went out to King Air school, and I'm like, I got the keys to the King Air. So I keep joking, I'm like, when you get a job, please walk my resume in there and tell them that I was your instructor, and maybe I'll get an interview. So it's all about giving back.
Yes, absolutely. And using your connections and networking as much as
Yeah.
possible.
Hell yeah.
It really is all about who you know. I swear I can't emphasize on that more. That's kind of how I've gotten to where I am, is just who I know, like the citation gig I got, my current gig I have, and how I got my other two gigs that I do. My husband said I can't do anything else besides what I'm already doing. So, so I'm already maxed out. He was like, please, you are already busy enough. Please don't take any more jobs.
I totally understand where he's coming from. Yeah. Hold on. Sorry, my girlfriend is poking her head in here. Oh. You want me to close it? Don't worry, we'll edit all this out. I have to fix my
No, you're
dog treat so
fine.
that my dog
It
doesn't go
looked like a
crazy.
dog treat. I was like, that looks like a dog toy.
Oh man, my dog has made a guest appearance in many episodes so far already. I have to I'm like, you hear all that piddle paddle in the background? That's my dog playing with another dog. So sorry for the noise, everybody.
Oh, dogs are always excused. Dogs are the best, and we don't deserve them.
Hey, we had like 3 dogs today at the airport during check ride day, so I think it kind of calmed everybody's nerves. It was awesome.
That's always a good sign.
Yeah,
That means it's going to be a good
it
day.
was wonderful. It was a good day. Yeah. I was just telling my family, like, I can't compare to anything I've ever done how much fun I had today. I was watching my student take his check ride, doing laps in the pattern while me and his dad, who's a captain at Delta, were throwing frisbees for our dog. Like, that was the craziest check ride day. We're just chilling, playing with the dogs, not next to the runway, about a quarter mile away, but
Near-ish.
yeah, within the airport gate. And I was like, this is so cool, dude. Look at this.
This is just part of my life.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the hurdles and some of the, the pitfalls, the very sad moments along your aviation career. What are some times where you were like, am I going to make it? Or this is so hard. When is it ever going to materialize? When am I ever going to start making money at this? Like, where a moment where you were promised something and you're like, and it never came to fruition. Like, let's talk about all that because, that's always entertaining.
Well, to be honest, I have had a very incredibly blessed journey. I've had definitely God's been looking out for me on my
Booyah.
journey.
Let's
So
go.
that's amazing. I think the hardest part was getting started because I was supposed to move in with my sister and we had a lease signed and everything. And I had to break the lease, help get her an apartment, help move her into the apartment, and then get my loan to go to school because I could not afford it and I couldn't get a loan through a normal place. So I had to get an 11% interest loan through the school I was going to. That was my only option. No one's going to give money to a furloughed flight attendant. I didn't even have a job. And then moving up there and just getting there was very difficult. And then I had a hard time with my landings, getting my landings down. But after it was like a different instructor that came in and showed me. And it's once you get a different instructor, a little different perspective, it really helps. Besides I did struggle, I think somewhere around in the middle of instrument. Like I love instrument now. It's my favorite. And I loved learning it because it's so procedural. It's so precise. It's like step by step by step versus private pilot's a little bit more willy-nilly, if you will. So I remember there was a point in instrument where someone had told me at some point in your training, things are just gonna click for you.
The aha moment.
Yes. And I was just like, I'm waiting for that. When is that going to happen? Where is this moment? This guy, Jason, told me that. I was like, Jason, when is this going to happen? I just remember that so much. And then it happened near the end of my commercial training, like at the end of my multi-engine add-on. And things just started to click. And I just remember him saying that and being like, this is that moment. This is what he was talking about. And I think up until that point, it was a little more difficult for me. I had a hard time getting down lazy eights until I realized that they are intrinsically lazy. Just let them be lazy and it's not so hard.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
And then until I got the hang of trim is your best friend.
Yeah.
And until you realize that, it's going to be hard for you. But other than those points, training wasn't too difficult. I'm relatively decent in the ground stuff. I'm a pretty big bookworm. So the tests weren't too difficult for me. It was just getting the flying down. I'm not a natural flyer. I've had to work very hard at it. But the knowledge portion didn't come as difficult for me. And then I got very, again, lucky, I'd say, when I got my first flight instructor gig. I just finished all my ratings in 17 months or certificates and ratings. And then after 2 months of that, I moved to DFW because I got a job as a flight instructor at a very, very good flight school. I started out making about $40K a year, and then I got a pay increase to about $80-85 a year.
Damn, you hit the jackpot. I've never heard of a flight school paying me $40,000 in CFI. I thought you were gonna say $40 an hour, but yeah, that's about right. You're gonna make like $25K. You're gonna be eating McDonald's every day. Dang, that's awesome. Keep that flight school quiet or they're going to get a bazillion emails.
Well, it was $20 an hour, but it all regressed to $30 an hour if you hit 100 billable hours. And that's just billable. It's not flight time. It was flight and ground time. So I was hitting about 120 hours sometimes a month. And so I was making really good money. And then he would also give us like more bonuses. And then when he gave me the pay increase, because I was going to leave and just go fly jets on the side instead. But so that I was very lucky there. And then the job I have now, it's the same thing. Just, I feel like it's right time. I say luck, but you have to remember what the Roman philosopher said about luck is that it's when preparation meets circumstance.
100%, because you're being very humble over here, but I want to give a shout out to all the haters. Okay, there was some luck involved, but Holly, you also hustled your ass off. You were like, I'm getting 120 billable hours. I'm hustling. I think a lot of people on social medias, they always like to talk crap to people that they see like, zero to hero, and then they end up at an airline or they're flying jets, and it's like, you don't know the hustle that those people put in. Okay, you're a hustler. I'm going to say it for you, okay? You were grinding. That's awesome. Hell yeah.
It was exhausting. That's why you get burnt out, because I was working 9 hours a day, living off FBO snacks and bubbly water as my lunch breaks.
Hell yeah.
I didn't want a lunch break either. I was like, let's go. Let's get this rolling.
That's so sick.
It was good.
Well, I want to highlight what you said, because landings, there couldn't be anything more accurate, and you must be a great instructor because since you struggled with the landings, you know how it feels and you don't give up on people. My student pilot, she has 108 hours and she's going to go take her check ride. And for a long time, she was like, am I ever going to get this? Are you just being too polite? Can I not do this? Can you just not tell me that I can't do this? Like, be honest with me. And I was like, you will figure it out. There is going to be that moment where it clicks. And eventually it does. And as the instructor, you know that you're like, oh man, this is the best day. Like, you see it in their eyes and it just makes sense. And I tell all my students that, I go, I watched a million videos on Sporty's pilot training. I watched a million videos on YouTube. I read every book. I listened to my dad tell me, look at the end of the runway, use the peripheral, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff. None of it matters until one day. And it
clicks.
Yeah. And it just takes time. It's not, it's so difficult as a person who, like I grew up doing a lot of physical sports. And so you think you can just adapt to things and it'll come easily because everything else has. And landings, oh man, I had 95 hours when I took my private pilot because it took me 40 hours to figure out how to land the damn thing.
It happens, but you got there just like everybody else did.
Yeah.
You're still flying planes. You're still having it as your career. So it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get your private pilot or your instrument or any of your certificates or ratings, because you're going to end up just where everybody else is if you want to be there.
Yeah. And I tell them all, I go, this is only going to make you a better pilot because you have more practice doing this,
Absolutely.
And then I just want to share with you one hilarious thing. I have a friend, she's a local veterinarian, and she's like you, very, very studious, and she has her own Baron. And I love flying with her. She's just private instrument multi. And sometimes she's like, I want to go shoot some approaches, just practice. She doesn't need me there. I think she just wants to talk, because she's a phenomenal pilot. But she said one day, she goes, I love instrument approaches because it's like a baking recipe. If I just follow the instructions, everything will turn out great.
Exactly. Just follow the instructions. It's procedural. You
Yeah.
follow the procedures and you're going to be fine.
Yeah, so I've stolen that from her, and I tell all my students, yeah, it's just like baking cookies, man. Just follow the instructions. So
That's hilarious.
yeah,
You sound like you're a good instructor too. And I think because you don't forget what it was like to be a student. And I think that's where a lot of experienced instructors go wrong, is they get to mind on the prize of wherever their goals are. They forget that it's a journey, not just for you, but for everybody else that's in your aviation life. And they forget to empathize with you when you're struggling about something. They don't remember what it's like to be in your shoes, and then they get all haughty about it. So I think it's good. You seem like you're not that way, so that's really good.
well, because I'll admit, I am definitely not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm probably not even a tool in the shed. I'm outside, the guy dropped me on the ground and said, that screwdriver sucked. I don't even need to pick it up, right? So it's fun because I've been reviewing my CFIs, and I always tell them, look, fundamentals of instruction, in my opinion, is more important than aeronautical knowledge, and I'm like, yeah, because I was a snowboard instructor when I was in college and briefly out of college.
Awesome.
And, it's one of those things where it's like a dynamic thing. You can't really say 1 + 1 is 2, to teach somebody how to ski down a mountain. And I feel like airplanes, it's a little bit of both, So I'm a very, let's look out the window and I'm going to cover up all your instruments. We're just going to fly visually, and I'm just going to teach you how to do it by like feel and by sound. And if you can do that, then you can apply everything else. And again, I have gotten probably the worst written test scores out of any pilot ever. And I just joke with everybody. I'm like, 71 and done, man. Come on. We can do this. Okay.
C's get degrees.
Yeah. C's get degrees. Because I overanalyze those questions always. Like even when I was in school, it's like if Timmy has 4 apples and Sarah has 3 apples, how many apples total? And I'm like, well, did one of them lie? Did one of them put them in their pocket? I'm sitting over there.
Already eaten?
Yeah, exactly. So I overanalyze those questions too much, and then I walk out and I'm like, I don't even know. So thank God for Shepherd Air.
Really though, Shepherd Air for the win.
Yeah.
And anyone who's listening, if you're coming up on your instrument check ride, make sure that you take your CFII as well at the same time, because it's the same exact exam.
Oh, see, that's okay. I'm glad you said that. Took the instrument, rushed it because I was going to an accelerated course, got a 74. I was like, good, that's all I need. Let's go. 3.5 years go by, and now it's time for me to do CFII. And I really hit the books. And I was like, okay, I know my stuff now. I've been flying real world instrument. I'm, reviewing all the textbooks, getting ready to teach people this. I need to go do the written again. Another 74. And I was like, okay, I suck at these tests, whatever. It is what it is. So
like you said, it still gets you through as long as you can pass it.
yeah, I always joke, what do they call the captain at Delta that got a 71 on his test? Captain,
Exactly.
So whatever. That's just my my 2 cents about those written tests. I hate them so much. But hey, I want to ask you another question. I'm seeing this cool backdrop that you have behind you. This is one of those maps where you can kind of scratch off all the places you've been. It looks like you've gotten a lot of South America.
Yes, that was all when I was a flight attendant. Those were pretty easy to go to. I think all those were from when I was a flight attendant.
That's so cool. And so
Work.
here on the Seatbelt Sign podcast, I want to talk to not just pilots, but everybody in aviation. Like my goal would be, I want to talk to a firefighter at the airport. I want to talk to, of course, flight attendants, dispatchers. I want to talk to the baggage handlers. Like I want to talk to everybody, And flight attendants, I have a few flight attendant friends who I went to high school with, and I follow them on Instagram, and I'm like, ooh, I could not keep up with you in high school, and there's no way I could keep up with you now. Like, flight attendant life, y'all party, man. I mean, did you get to either experience that, or did you have friends that were like big partiers, you know, when you get on the overnights and all that stuff?
I'm not gonna lie, being a flight attendant in your 20s is definitely fun.
Dude, that
So
sounds
I'm
so
glad
fun.
I was in my 20s, and I'm glad I was single most of the time. Yeah, most of the time it was a lot of fun. It was the best career I ever had until I became a pilot. That's for sure. I absolutely adored being a flight attendant. I'm very gregarious, so I love people. I loved traveling, and I got bit by the travel bug about 4 years before I became a flight attendant. So I was already obsessed, and it was just I got to get paid to travel. But yes, it was a lot of fun. So flight attendants definitely got crazy. Um, yeah,
Let's
there
hear
were.
some stories. Come on. Tell me. Of course, let's not talk like we don't have to spill the tea, but I want to know like places that you went. Did you have fun party? Like, did you meet some people? Let's hear some stories. Come on. I know you got them.
I always remember this one flight attendant I met. She was in her late 50s, early 60s, but she looked good. She looked very good. She took care of herself.
I know
She
what you're talking
actually,
about.
yes, she actually carried around business cards that said her name and that she was a flight attendant with her phone number.
Hell yeah, girl. Hell yeah.
And she was telling me about all her boyfriends she had in various parts of the world and how they were all at least 20 years younger than she was.
Oh, snap. This girl sounds awesome, dude.
I wonder what she's doing now. I think about her sometimes.
Yo, we should reach out. We need to interview her for the
I don't
podcast,
even
dude.
remember what her
She would
name
have
is, but
stories.
she would have so many stories. I bet she's has so much to talk about still. But I mean, from whenever you get off the van or go to the van and have your crew juice, and have you heard of crew juice before?
No, what the hell is that?
So crew juice is when flight attendants would make some drinks on the plane and then take it on the van.
Oh,
So
okay, cool. Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
because I mean, by the time and they share it with the pilots, and so it's
I
like a
mean, you're
little.
in corporate world. You see pilots do that too. Like when we get you to Miami and we've already refueled and we're waiting on our Uber, dude. I'm gonna go get a little mini bottle, pour it in some Coke. Why not,
Yeah,
dude? Yeah,
there you
I'm
go.
I'm
Yeah,
clocked out.
so
Crew
they
juice.
would
I like that. I'm gonna use that.
and it was just like everyone they would refer to it as debrief. They'd be like, "Is anyone interested in a debrief?"
Oh, I
And
love that. That sounds
it
like
was really
safety meeting. Yeah,
right,
debrief. I like
exactly.
that.
It was mostly on international trips that I feel like the lead flight attendants would do that and just do it on the way to the hotel. But those were always fun. And then I liked when flight attendants, like when we all go out together, a lot of times the pilots aren't on the same crew with flight attendants. Like it's the flight attendants and the pilots are doing their own thing because they have to keep going somewhere else. But
Hmm.
um, which except for unless you're international, then the pilots were all together and we would go out and stuff sometimes. And some of the pilots were really great. Some of them just wouldn't hang out at all. But I really liked the camaraderie with the other flight attendants as well. And we'd just all chat or go to someone's bedroom and just like talk and go over the passengers that we hated that day.
Yeah, I'm starting to key in on some of this stuff. Shout out to I think their podcast is called Two Guys on a Plane. Have you heard of them?
I haven't heard of them, no.
So it's a husband and husband, and they're both flight attendants, and they just are, they get catty sometimes, and they talk about shit that they're like, listen, you in, row 5F, you sucked. And like, they'll tell stories, and I'm like, oh, that's so funny because like, and I think a lot of the public doesn't really know this. And I think also too, people just don't have any courtesy nowadays. But like, they'll talk about and they're like, "Hey, don't come and bring me, Cinnabon or whatever, just so that later you can ask me for a free drink." And I'm like, "What? People are trying to pull this type of shit with flight attendants nowadays?" Like,
All the time.
dude, that's so
All the
funny.
time.
That's so funny. See, I never
Yeah.
would ever do that. Like growing up, we almost exclusively flew Southwest, so I have tremendous love for Southwest. Although what they're doing now, I'm like, "What are you doing?" I liked that I could sit anywhere, But I do have friends that are flight attendants there, and they're like, it's anybody that doesn't know us and flies us, it's a nightmare. But they had, I'm sure on other airlines they have this. They have like these cool little cards that you can give out to anybody at the airline, whether it's like a pilot or the guy, the ramp agent or the flight attendant. And it has like a little code that they can punch in, and then it's like, I don't know, they get like a 5-star rating on their employee profile or something.
Oh,
You never heard of these?
No, I haven't heard about that.
Okay, well, dude, I used to just hit people with those because I'd be like, "Oh man, you really are hustling today. Like, here's this," and then they would try to come give me free stuff, and I was like, "No, no, no, no! Like, I just saw you working your ass off. Like, you deserve it." So,
That's nice, at
yeah,
least.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think I actually got more when I was a flight attendant. I had some people come in every once in a while and give us, like gifts for St. Patrick's Day or Valentine's Day, whatever it was, like little candies and stuff. And I always appreciate that. That was sweet. But I think I got more taken care of by my other flight attendants when I went on other trips because I would non-rev a lot on standby. So one time when I was in flight school, I non-revved to Miami for a bachelorette party for a friend of mine, and the flight was completely full. I had to sit on a jump seat to Miami from DFW, which wasn't the most comfortable. It's a pretty long flight, but it wasn't too bad. And then the crew came by and they're like, "Do you want to go sleep in the bunks? Or like, do you want to go hang out up there?" I was like, "Yes,
Sick,
absolutely."
so
And
sick.
because when you're a flight attendant, you have like it was a 777, so they had those on that one because it's such a big flight to Miami. And then but I was getting off. I was up there the whole flight. I came down and sat in my jumpsuit for landing. And then when I was leaving, they gave me a whole bag of booze and wine. They're like, "Have fun on your bachelorette party." And
Hell
I
yeah,
was like, "Thank you." And so when I got off and my friends met me, I was like, "Look what I
dude,
got."
that's so sick. That's so fun. I
Flight
love
attendants
hearing
take
that.
care of each other a lot for sure.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I mean, you guys are partying it up. Like I said, I follow my friends on social, and I'm like, you guys get paid to have way too much fun. Versus the pilot, sometimes you're sitting next to this guy who he's not really taking care of himself. He's a little heavy set, and he's like, "Do you want to see my toy car collection?" And I'm like, "No, I don't, Steve. Okay, that
Stop it.
sounds
Is that
boring."
real?
Yeah. I'm like, "We're in Hawaii, dude. You want to go surf?" And he's like, "No, actually, I'm going to go to the store where they sell these toy cars that I've been collecting." And I'm like, "You're so boring, dude. Get away from me, you know?"
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about when you're stuck in the cockpit with one other dude in there for however long it is. So I guess international trips are better because at least you get a break from the other person and somebody else comes in there. And but yeah, that's got to be exhausting. I think that's why a lot of Part 91 people hire for the personality and not for. That's really it. And everything else they can teach. Personality you can't teach.
Yeah, personality you definitely can't teach, and just I don't know. I'm a rambler, so I could have it. I could have a cardboard cutout in the seat next to me, and I'll talk his ear off, you know. But well, what else? What else? Cool. Tell me about some cool stuff that you're seeing now out in the aviation world, or some cool stuff you're getting into. Like, are you looking forward to Oshkosh? Let's talk about all that cool stuff.
I've never been to Oshkosh, but I would
Bah! Stop.
love to go. Never
Blasphemy.
been.
Get out of here. You got to go. You got to go, and you got to go this year. Red Bull is coming, and they're bringing some awesome planes.
Really?
Do it. You got to do
I'm
it.
trying to I want to go with my boss. So I'm trying to get him. He's just so busy. I'm trying to get him to, because I want to take our plane up there. I say our plane. It's his plane. I want to take
The
his plane
plane.
up there.
Yeah, the plane.
And I'd rather not have to take an airliner than go around from there. But I just haven't made the time to go up there to do it when I've been dying to go. My husband and I also want to go together, of course, too. But yes, I do want to go to Oshkosh. I also have recently been getting into instruction in TBMs. So I can now technically, I guess, per insurance requirements, teach somebody to fly a TBM. I was just recently checked out in the differences courses with SimCom, also known as CAE. CAE bought SimCom in Orlando, Florida. So I finished that last month, and I have to finish I get to get trained on the 980, the TBM 980 that just came out. There's not even a simulator for it yet. So I have to get trained on that, hopefully coming up. They wanted me to go this month, but I couldn't make it work this month. But so that's fun. I'm going to start doing instruction on that. And I do it through CAE, but I can do it on the side as well with other people. And also, as kind of another job, I also fly Kodiaks too. I do ferry flying, and I'm going to start doing instruction once I get some more PIC time. And the Kodiaks will be doing that too. So,
Okay, wait, pause. Pause right there. You said I ferry airplanes, and then you said Kodiaks. Dude, that is like creme de la creme. You're flying something so cool and fun. I've done a lot of ferry flying, and I'm flying stuff that's held together with speed tape and like 2 instruments in my 6-pack work. That is so baller. And
it's a
you're
lot of
teaching
fun.
TBM, like, bruh, that is so cool. So you mentioned super fun stuff like that, and now that you've come this far in the journey, do you still look at airlines and you're like, I kind of want to do that? Or, because you're doing the coolest thing. And trust me, those guys that are flying the same route every single day and have every localizer frequency memorized because they do it, like, they're looking at us and they're like, yo, that's so much more fun.
So that's a great question. I get that all the time. And my boss, I think, is still trepidatious. Sometimes he's like, "You don't want to go to the airlines anymore, right?" And I think I stopped wanting to go to the airlines about a year ago. Of course, during flight school, that's all you think about. That's all you know. They steer you towards it. There's all these partnership programs and everything where it's like, oh, you go straight to the regionals, and then go to the majors, and bada bing, bada boom. But then I learned about Part 91, and I think it's better.
Hell yeah. I mean, you get to fly cooler stuff. Definitely. To tie it back into Oshkosh, last time I was there, you got to go. You got to do it. I want to see you there.
I'm gonna go.
And part of why, I mean, the air show is phenomenal, but what I love the most is going to all the cool talks that you can read about in the little pamphlet, because there's only 10,000 ones that you want to go to, and there's not enough time in the day to go to them all. But I mean, I've learned so much cool stuff. And sometimes it's like in a little classroom of only like 20 people, and you're like, why aren't you at the AOPA stage, like talking to everybody, versus Joe Schmo who has a YouTube channel, right? Like, I'm like, I could learn something from it. But anyways, we were at Oshkosh, and of course I'm walking around looking at all the demos, and I talked to the TBM guys, and they were like, oh yeah, a couple of our models have the Autoland feature. And I'm like, what? Tell me all about this. What does this do? And he explained it all, which I'm sure you know, but I'll recap really quickly. So, the system is designed in case, there's no input from the pilot and you're up in the flight levels. It's like, oh, maybe my pilot's hypoxic. So it will automatically descend to 10,000 feet. And then still, like, the screen's blinking and there's alarms going off, like, wake up, wake up. And then if there's no input again, then the computer's like, okay, we have a problem. And then it'll divert to the nearest airport, drop the landing gear, land itself on the runway. And I was like, no, dude, how does it work? Does it work well? And he's like, sometimes it's a buttery landing, and sometimes it's just like carrier landing, like, whoop-ah. And I was like, dude, again, I was so sad. I was like, I'm going to be out of a job in 10 years. There's not going to be pilots anymore. But no, it's just super cool technology. Like, I'm so blown away.
It is. It's really cool. It's just like how in the Cirrus G7 and the Vision Jet and the Epic 1000 AX all have Autoland. It's definitely a really cool feature, and it's more of a redundancy and makes people feel safer who are not the pilots to have that there just in case. But that's, I think, God forbid something awful happens when you're a single pilot, but that's one reason we need to take care of ourselves so much. You need to make sure that you're healthy, you're eating right, you're exercising, that you have a good heart, which is why we have to get an EKG starting at 35. So that's one of the reasons why we need to make sure we take care of ourselves, because hopefully we don't ever have to use that.
Yeah, for sure.
But it is a cool feature.
Yeah, and you mentioned the G7. I get to fly one right now, but it's the model right before the Autoland button came out. I know. It's pretty crazy, but
Good.
well, Holly, it's
Sorry
been
about that.
a wonderful convo, and I would love for us to do this again sometime. Everybody, all of my guests, I would like them to be kind of recurring and just kind of make a a podcast family of aviators and people in the aviation world, and just fun travel stories. So next time, I definitely want to hear some more wild times in the flight attendant world, because I know, and not just when you were working, but I know that you guys, y'all meet and then y'all become besties and you got your little cliques, and then you're like, okay, we got a 5-day vacay, we're all going to Cancun, So I want to hear some of those crazy travel stories.
Okay,
I used to
some of those.
I used to live in South America. I lived in Venezuela, and my
Really?
cousin married an Argentinian, and so I've been down there a few times. Also Ecuador. So I want to hear all the crazy South America stories.
Okay.
All
I
right.
love Ecuador. Love it.
Yeah.
Good.
No, it was a beautiful place. And one of the biggest things I noticed. So I lived in Venezuela as a kid. So I like to say Venezuela is kind of like the New York of South America. Like, everything is vulgar, everybody swears, and it's like a very like we make fun of you because we love you kind of vibe. Like, even my grandmother just like walks in and she's just like whacking all the kids and like, talking trash, and we're like, oh, we love you, Granny, stuff like that. Versus you go to Ecuador and it's kind of like ending up in the the middle of the country, the Midwest, where people are very polite and a little bit slower, and they never say any bad words, you know?
That's exactly how it is. They're so nice over there. It's very chill lifestyle.
Yeah.
It was
It
lovely.
was a little bit of a culture shock, especially, you know, in America, we're all about like right to the point, just I'm going to ask the question, whatever, you know, and I noticed that down there, like if you're lost and you want to ask for directions and you walk up to the security guard in the mall, you don't just say, hey, excuse me, sir, do you know where the library is? You know, be like, hello, sir, how's your day going? Are you having fun? Oh, what lovely weather we've been having. Anyways, I'm John, and can you tell me how to get to the library? Like, you know, and they're all singing songy, like the way they speak Spanish. So yeah, lovely place, man. I got a lot of friends over there. So
That's awesome.
next
I love
time, next episode, we're gonna do Latin America. Okay,
it. Okay, that sounds good.
awesome. Well, thanks so much, Holly. We appreciate you, and shout out to all your socials one more time.
Yes, thanks. The Aviator's Guide. You can find me on everything.
Woo! Hit her up.
Clear to land, wind 280 at 7 off.